A 3-month-old baby boy was beaten nearly to death in Genesee County. Police will turn the case over to the prosecutor tomorrow morning, but say it's unlikely anyone will be charged. That's because for months, detectives didn't even know about the crime. And our investigation reveals in a county where the rate of child abuse ranks among the worst in our state, if something doesn't change, more young lives could be in danger. On a baby boy's first Christmas, he stopped breathing. The 3-month-old was clinging to life. He couldn't speak, but his injuries told doctors someone had hurt him.
The child had injuries to his face and head, some significant brain swelling. There was a skull fracture, broken bones that were now healing, which tells doctors and us that there was a history of abuse.
Child Protective Services was called in. The 20-year-old mother told workers she didn't know how her son received the injuries, and he was never in anyone else's care.
She said the only thing she can tell him is, I didn't do anything to my babies.
CPS removed the baby and his 1-year-old brother from their mother's care, fearing they were in danger. The baby boy had been abused, beaten nearly to death, but by whom? There's been no arrest. abc12 News discovered CPS failed to make sure police knew about the crime.
So the agency that's supposed to protect children, in your eyes, failed this child?
Most definitely. There's no question about it. They failed the child because they didn't inform us so we could do our job.
The seasons changed before the wheels of justice would start turning.
On April 19th, we got a complaint faxed to us from Child Protective Services. There was a baby that is at Hurley Hospital. It was on a ventilator and was expected to die.
With a baby's life on the line, Detective Jody Grant would rush to Hurley Medical Center.
The best evidence is going to be gathered within the first 48 hours.
But on the way to the hospital, Detective Grant discovered 4 months had gone by before he was ever called to investigate.
It's stomach turning. You know, in my mind, it was sickening.
Detective Grant says the complaint not only fell through the cracks, it was missing key information.
It had no dates, no times.
Child Protective Services told Genesee Township Police they faxed the complaint to police right away, but accidentally sent it to the wrong police department.
They assumed that, you know, the address was a Flint City address and it turned out to be a Genesee Township address, and that's an understandable mistake, but that's where the immediate follow-up within 48 or 72 hours would have caught it, rather than 4 months later, all of a sudden now, you know, here it is, you know, oops, we made a mistake.
Flint Police Captain T.P. Johnson says there's no record of a complaint coming into the Flint Detective Bureau about this case until April. And when it arrived, the detective told CPS they had the wrong jurisdiction. By then, this heartbreaking case had grown cold.
So many things that can happen. People can develop alibis. People can start to tell their lies and cover their tracks. And then now we have to spend time uncovering those lies and alibis that people had 4 months to build on. It makes the investigation in this case very, very hard.
A 4-month delay or any significant delay like that could be very problematic.
Dr. Brian Nolan is one of only 6 doctors in Michigan board certified in child abuse pediatrics.
Getting the police involved very early, in my opinion, is critical, and especially in a case of a young child who, you know, the first time it may be a fracture, the next time it could be severe brain damage or worse. Dr. Nolan can't talk specifics about this case because of confidentiality laws, but says anytime an infant has a fracture, it's a red flag. Prior to 7 months or so, we tend not to see any injuries, bruises, or fractures. The 3 most common fractures we see in kids who are abused are the skull fracture, the rib fractures, and the long bone fractures. Court records show this baby boy had all 3 telltale signs of abuse. But so much time passed before police got involved, this horrific crime may go unpunished.
We really don't have a suspect. I can show that, yeah, there's a crime that's been committed, but I need probable cause to say that this person committed the crime, and right now I don't have that.
Would that have been different if police were called in the minutes, hours, or even first few days after the baby was beaten? We'll never know. But prosecutor David Layton fears this case is a sign of the times.
I think it's a problem that we're going to see more of, just because we don't have enough caseworkers, we don't have enough police officers, we don't have enough prosecutors, and that means that more cases and more work are falling upon fewer people. and that could result in less justice for the community.
To harm a baby that age, that size, I'm sorry, the person's a monster. They have to go to jail. In this case, unfortunately, this person could remain out there.
Without a case, police can't prove guilt or innocence.
It's awful. And like I said, you would have to know her to know that she didn't do this. That's the killing part about it. To know that she didn't do this, but nobody can prove anything.
The baby is still recovering. His prognosis is unknown, but he is safe now. His mother's great aunt is caring for both boys as their mom fights to regain custody. This case may remain unsolved, and Genesee Township Police fear unless the system changes, more children are in danger.
My fear is that there's going to be a child that's going to die as a result of this. There's going to be some child out there that is in a situation where somebody does the right thing and they call whether CPS or the police or somebody, and they get that information out, but then it gets dropped, and for whatever reason that child is the one that'll pay the price. That's my biggest fear.
Genesee Township Police Chief Todd Sorensen wrote a letter to Department of Human Services Director Stacy Bowen saying reports are often devoid of essential information our department needs to justify a criminal investigation. He never heard back. We talked to her Friday. She said, "At this time, I don't have that communication before me. As concerns are forwarded to us from any law enforcement agencies, we address those issues with the appropriate staff and will work to correct and address those issues." DHS prohibits her from commenting on specific cases, but she did say workers are mandated to refer serious cases of child abuse to police within 24 hours, then follow up and work with them throughout the life of the case. Prosecutor Layton says unless there are charges in the case, the boy's mother will now be part of baby court, where she'll get parenting classes and help as she works to get her children back.